देश के चिर परिचित अर्थशास्त्री, देश के पूर्व वित्त मंत्री, पूर्व गृह मंत्री, आदरणीय मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट, कांग्रेस कार्य समिति के सदस्य आदरणीय पी चिदम्बरम जी का बजट 2022-23 की इस विशेष पत्रकार वार्ता में मैं स्वागत करता हूं और मैं अनुरोध करूंगा कि चिदम्बरम साहब अपनी बात आपके समक्ष रखेंगे। उसके बाद थोड़ा सा हिंदी रूपांतर हम आपको बताएंगे और फिर आपके सवाल लेंगे। आदरणीय चिदम्बरम साहब।
Okay. Good afternoon to all of you. When the Finance Minister and officials of the Ministry of Finance sat down to write the budget speech, what ought to have stared them in the face were the following facts. India's economy is not recovered yet to the level of the pre-pandemic year of 2019-20. In the last 2 years, millions of jobs have been lost, some perhaps forever. Approximately 60 lakh MSMEs were closed down. In the 2 pandemic years, 84% of households have suffered a loss of income. Per capita income has declined from rupees 1,08,645 in 2019-20 to rupees 1,07,801 in 2021-22, or maybe even less. Per capita expenditure has declined from rupees 62,056 in 2019-20 to rupees 59,043 in 2021-22. An estimated 4.6 crore people have been pushed into extreme poverty. Huge learning loss among school children, especially children who live in rural India and are enrolled in government schools. Malnutrition, stunting, and wasting among children has increased, and India's rank in the Global Hunger Index has fallen to 101 out of 116 countries. The unemployment rates have reached 8.2% for urban and 5.8% of rural workers. WPI inflation is estimated at 12% and CPI inflation at 5.3%. These are hard facts. The hard facts should have been there before the finance minister. After the budget was presented, we asked ourselves, what has the budget done to address any of these grave challenges? The blunt answer is nothing. This budget has done nothing to address any one of the challenges that I've outlined. The government behaves and acts as though it is on the right path and has delivered on the issues that matter to the common people. This is false. This is also bull-headed obduracy. This also reflects the government's contemptuous disregard of the burdens and sufferings of the people. I was astonished, shocked that the finance minister was outlining a plan for the next 25 years, which he called the Amrit Kal. The government seems to believe that the present does not need any attention, and the people living in the present can be asked to wait patiently until the Amrit Kal dawns. This is nothing but mocking the people of India, especially the poor and the deprived. There was not a word in the speech about any cash assistance to the very poor who've been pushed into extreme poverty and suffered immensely during the last 2 years. Not a word for those who had lost their jobs. Not a word about creating jobs for those whose education stopped at some stage at the school level. Not a word about reviving MSMEs that had shut down. Not a word about distributing more food to combat malnutrition and hunger. Not a word about cutting indirect taxes, especially GST, to contain inflation and bring down the prices of goods. And not a word about giving tax relief to the tax-paying middle class or the tax-bearing head of a household. By any standard, today's budget speech was the most capitalist speech ever read by a finance minister. The FM has mastered the jargon of capitalist economics. Read her speech again. Count the number of times she used the words digital, portal, IT-based, paperless, database, ecosystem, global, Atmanirbhar. The word poor occurs only twice in paragraph 6, and we thank the FM for remembering that there are poor people in this country. There are worrying macroeconomic indicators. Top of the list is that the fiscal deficit for 2021-22 has overshot the target of 6.8% and is estimated at 6.9%. For the next year, it will be 6.4%. That is insufficient correction if the goal is to reach 4% 3 years hence by 2025-26. The financing of the fiscal deficit is also a matter of concern. 70% of the FD in 2022-23 will be financed by market borrowing as against 55% in the current year, crowding out private sector borrowing. The worry from the welfare angle is greater. Every key subsidy has been slashed. I repeat it, every key subsidy has been slashed. I'm reading the figures for the current year, 21-22, and the next year, 22-23. Petroleum from 6,517 crore to 5,813 crore. Fertilizer from 1,40,000 crore to 1,05,000 crore. Food, 2,86,219 crore rupees to 2,06,481 crore rupees. The outlay for agriculture and allied activities from 4.3% of GDP to 3.84% of GDP. Crop insurance from 15,989 crore to 15,500 crore. Maganrega from 98,000 crore to 73,000 crore. The total subsidy bill has been cut by a humongous 27%. This is the most unkindest cut in this budget. The finance minister may have forgotten the poor, but the poor have long memories. The next worry is about raising more resources. The FM is betting on heavy market borrowing, an increase in corporate tax by 85,000 crore, personal income tax by another 85,000 crore, and GST by 1,05,000 crore. There is not a word about raising more resources from the rich, especially the very, very rich 142 persons whose wealth in the last 2 years has increased from 23 lakh crore to 53 lakh crore. You will ask me, no doubt, if there is not any aspect of the budget that I welcome. There is a short list of 3. 1, the FM has promised capital expenditure of 7,50,000 crore in 22-23 as against the revised estimate of 6,02,711 crore in 21-22, and I welcome it. 2, the FM has promised an additional borrowing of 1 lakh crore rupees to the states free of interest. I welcome that. The budget speech was mercifully shot at 1 hour and 30 minutes, and I welcome that most heartily. Parliament may vote this budget because the ruling party is a brute majority in the Lok Sabha, but the people will reject this capitalist budget.
थैंक यू सर. वेरी ब्रीफली आपने पूरा बयान जो आदरणीय चिदम्बरम साहब ने कहा वो पढ़ा, और एक विशेष बात उन्होंने कही, ये बजट पूंजीवादी है, ये पूंजीवादी बजट है. और चिदम्बरम साहब ने विशेष तौर से ये बताया कि 7 या 8 महत्वपूर्ण पहलू वो वित्त मंत्री मोदी सरकार दोनों के सामने थे, पर उन पर कोई ध्यान नहीं दिया गया. भारत की अर्थव्यवस्था 2019-20 के स्तर पर आज भी सरकार के मुताबिक है. तो 2 साल खत्म हो गए तरक्की के. उन्होंने ये भी बताया कि करोड़ों नौकरियां चली गई, 60 लाख छोटे उद्योग खत्म हो गए, 84% घरों की आय टूट गई, प्रति व्यक्ति आय 1,08,000 से कम होकर 1,07,000 हो गई, प्रति व्यक्ति खर्च 62,000 से कम होकर 59,000 रह गया. 4.5 करोड़ 60 लाख लोग गरीबी रेखा से नीचे धकेल दिए गए. पढ़ने वाले बच्चों का, खासतौर से गरीब और ग्रामीण अंचल में, उनका भविष्य अंधकार में चला गया. जिस प्रकार से मैल न्यूट्रिशन में देश 116 मुल्कों की सूची में 101 नंबर पर पहुंच गया, बेरोजगारी शहरों में 8% पार कर गई और गांव में 6%, और जो मुद्रास्फीति है, महंगाई जो है, वो 12% को पार कर गई, और कंज्यूमर प्राइस इन्फ्लेशन भी 6% को पार कर गई. इसलिए इस बजट का सार अगर देखें तो इस बजट का सार है कुछ नहीं, नथिंग. ये इस बजट का सार है. और विशेष तौर से ये बजट और वित्त मंत्री जी ने जिस प्रकार से ये पेश किया, ये वित्त मंत्री और सरकार के जिद्दीपन, उनकी कठोरता और उनकी निर्दयता का सूचक है, उसे दर्शाता है. देश के गरीब के प्रति, देश के नौकरी पेशा व्यक्ति के प्रति, देश के मध्यम वर्ग के प्रति, देश के किसान के प्रति, देश के अनुसूचित जाति और जनजातियों के लोगों के प्रति, और ग्रामीण अंचल में रहने वाले, शहरों में रहने वाले साधारण मजदूर के प्रति. यह एक क्रूर मजाक इस देश के लोगों के साथ है. गरीब की मदद के लिए एक शब्द बजट में नहीं है, रोजगार सृजन के लिए बजट में एक शब्द नहीं है, महंगाई पर नियंत्रण के लिए बजट में एक शब्द नहीं है, गरीब तक पैसा पहुंचाने के लिए बजट में एक शब्द नहीं है, बजट में किसी वर्ग को टैक्स रिलीफ देने के लिए एक शब्द नहीं है. लोक कल्याण को जैसे रद्दी की टोकरी में फेंक दिया गया हो. मैं खास तौर से चिदम्बरम साहब ने आपका ध्यान आकर्षित किया कि हर प्रकार की राहत और मदद यानी सब्सिडी में कटौती की गई. पेट्रोलियम प्रोडक्ट्स की, जो आज सबसे ज्यादा महंगाई का कारण है, पिछले साल के बनिस्बत 704 करोड़ रुपया कटौती हुई. किसान की खाद में के सब्सिडी में 35,000 करोड़ की कटौती हुई. गरीब को मिलने वाले राशन की दुकान पर भोजन में 80,000 करोड़ की कटौती हुई. किसान की क्रॉप इंश्योरेंस स्कीम में 500 करोड़ की कटौती हुई. यहां तक कि मजदूर की नरेगा स्कीम के अंदर भी 25,000 करोड़ रुपया काट लिया गया. 27% इस देश में गरीब, साधारण और मध्यम वर्ग को मिलने वाली राहत में कटौती की गई, जो अपने आप में एक निर्दयी पूर्ण निर्णय है. शायद पूंजीवादी और पूंजीपति जो इस सरकार के मित्र हैं वो तो माफ कर दें, पर इस देश का गरीब और मध्यम वर्ग भारतीय जनता पार्टी की इस मोदी सरकार को कभी माफ नहीं करेगा। बजाय इसके कि गरीबों को राहत दी जाए, बजाय इसके कि बहुत अमीर 142 लोग जो हैं, जिनकी पूंजी 23,14,000 करोड़ से बढ़कर 53,16,000 करोड़ हो गई, उनसे अपनी पूंजी साझा करने के लिए कहा जाए, ये सरकार ने एक पूंजीवादी बजट दिया। कोई प्रश्न अब आप पूछना चाहें तो उसका स्वागत है। We'll go one by one. Can we start with PTI, ma'am, and I'll come to you. Mr. Sanjeev Chopra.
So the industry has, a large section of the industry has hailed the budget as growth oriented, with a thrust on capital expenditure. And you said it's a capitalist budget. So would you say that it is meant only to help a section of the big industry?
Yes. This is the most capitalist budget speech I have read. Now, corporate tax alone, Finance Minister expects an increase of 85,000 crore. Let's take average capital tax as 25%. If the government is getting an 85,000 crore extra, which means the corporates are going to get 2,55,000 crore profit extra. Because 75% goes to the corporates and 25% goes to the government. If government expects an increase of 85,000 crore, then the corporates will get another 2,50,000 crore more profits. This is the most capitalist budget. There's not a word. I mean, I'm shocked. Not a word about the poor, the tax-paying middle class, the agriculturist. Not a word. And they don't care.
Ma'am, we'll go to you. I'll come to you.
Sanman Hindi Delhi, Meenakshi Bhattacharya. Sir, don't you think that India is step forward for removing all the print media?
Did she say something about removing the print media in her budget? I mean, I won't be surprised.
They are forwarding for the digital media.
Aaj Tak, Supriya.
So my question is that people are hoping that in this very budget there will be something said about the MSP. A lot of opposition party leaders are saying that they were hoping that they will talk about something legalizing the MSP, which has seen a huge year-long protest by the farmers, and still the farmers are agitating and there's no clarity as far as the MSP is concerned. What's your take on it, sir?
They don't care. You see, they know that the farmer has to go back to his field and grow crops. The farmer has no choice. That's why they have the audacity to cut fertilizer subsidy from 1,40,000 crore to 1,05,000 crore, and to cut the outlay for agriculture and allied activities from 5.1% in 2020-21 to 4.3% in 21-22 and to 3.84% in 22-23 as a percentage of GDP. They don't care.
Siddharth from ANI.
That's obviously at the behest of the very rich people in this country. A crypto digital asset is crypto. They've invented the word digital asset. What is a digital asset? It's only cryptocurrency. Now, by a sleight of hand, instead of RBI announcing it, the finance ministers virtually announced that cryptocurrency is legal from today. RBI has not announced it yet, and cryptocurrency will be issued by the RBI. And digital asset, transfer of digital asset will be taxed at a particular rate, is what she said. Now, all this is clearly not of any benefit to, say, 99.9% of the people of India. This budget, which talks about digital asset, does it make any sense to 99.9% people of India? See, I don't know where they're going to spend. I've noticed that on the capital account, as I've said, they will spend a little more than this year. I've welcomed it from 6,02,711 crore to 7,50,000 crore. That's one expenditure I'm able to identify. Otherwise, where they're going to spend, how they're going to spend is not clear. I'll have to go through the expenditure budget document. Moving away from transparency, the budget documents are not available in hard copy. I had to print my set of budget documents today, paying something like 3,200 rupees. Now, how many people will bother to print the expenditure budget, the revenue budget, the receipts budget? So we'll go through that and find out where they're going to spend. But clearly, total expenditure, these numbers are clear. Total expenditure is increasing from 37,70,000 crore to 39,44,000 crore. That is an increase of about 1,70,000 crore. The 1,70,000 crore, bulk of it is accounted for in the capital expenditure, which goes by about 1,50,000 crore. The rest we'll see where they are spending, but they're clearly not spending to give any relief to the poor. They're not spending to help those who have suffered because of the pandemic. They're not spending to help children who have had practically no learning in the last 2 years. They're not spending to take care of the children who are stunted, wasted, and massive malnutrition and anemia among women and children. They're not spending on those. That's clear. What they are spending on, we'll find out in a day or two.
अगर मनमोहन सिंह सरकार के कार्यकाल की बात करें तो उस समय अर्थव्यवस्था 3 गुना ज्यादा थी, ग्रोथ रेट भी 8% से ऊपर था। वर्तमान सरकार की बात करें, विकास दर काफी कम हो गया है। खासकर जो आय की असमानता है, यानी अमीर और गरीब के बीच खाई है, बढ़ती जा रही है। अमीर और अमीर होता जाता है, गरीब और गरीब होता जा रहा है।
Disparity of income, he's saying that there's considerably
Yes.
compared to.
You've read the report put out by Dr. Piketty and others. We are becoming one of the most unequal societies in the world. Inequality is increased in India far more rapidly than in any other country. This is a very unequal country. The poor have become poorer. Part of the reason is the pandemic, but part of the reason is incompetent economic management. And the rich have become richer. 142 persons, just 142. In fact, if you guys get together and do an investigative report, you can print the 142 names. 142 persons have increased their wealth in the last 2 years from 23 lakh crore to 53 lakh crore. 30 lakh crore is the size of the wealth increased by 142 people, whereas the total receipts of the government of India is only 40 lakh crore. The total receipts of the government of India is 40 lakh crore. And these 142 people have increased their wealth by 30 lakh crore. Very soon, the increase in their wealth will be greater than the receipts of the government of India.
Can you list out 2-3 sectors which require immediate intervention or assistance of the government, but have been completely overlooked in this budget?
Immediately, they should have addressed the problems of agriculture. Input prices are going up. Transport cost is going up because of fuel costs. And therefore, they should have addressed why are farmers producing more and more, yet many of them are extremely poor. They are as poor as they were 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Our agricultural production has increased several fold, but the farmer remains poor. Therefore, they should have addressed the question of agriculture, brought down the cost of cultivation, so that the farmer is left with more surpluses. Today, the farmers practically left with no surplus. The farmers left only with debt, number one. Number two, they should have addressed the question of children. Children are our wealth. Children have learnt nothing in the last 2 years, except a small number of urban children who have access to devices. Bulk of the children have had no learning at all in 2 years, no teaching at all in 2 years. And many of them are stunted and wasted because growing hunger, growing malnutrition. They should have addressed the problems of our children. Now, these are two things that come to the top of my mind. But the most important of lot is jobs. Now, the finance minister says some Gati Shakti is going to create 60 lakh jobs in 5 years. What did they promise? 2 crore jobs every year. And now the 2 crore jobs every year has come down to 60 lakh jobs in 5 years. There is a proverb in Tamil that the donkey slowly deteriorated and became an insect.
Can I come to you after her? Okay, ma'am.
Sir, if we look at this politically, BJP is facing one of the most important elections of President's tenure in UP. But here, the finance minister is addressing the budget to just 1.1% of the people. And on top of that, they've cut subsidies and, like you said, nothing for agriculture. So what is the reason? I mean, how are you looking at their mindset? Are they super confident or have they given up on UP?
I believe that they are not going into an election based on the record of performance. They are not going to election on the basis of the assurances and reassurances to the people. They are simply going to the election on the basis they can divide Indian society into Hindus and non-Hindus and capture the bulk of the Hindu vote. It's simply a cold, clever calculation that religion and Hindutva will propel us back to power. The people, the farmers, families with children, families who have debt, families who have lost jobs, families who have lost incomes, they must wake up and say, hey, what's going on here? What's going on here? My children are hungry. I don't have any surplus at all. I've lost my job. I've lost my income. Fertilizer prices are going up. Power costs are going up. Fuel costs are going up. What's going on in this country? And hold the BJP responsible. I sincerely hope after this budget, people will wake up to the reality of the BJP.
I'm going to come to you.
Your answer. Your answer.
आदरणीय साथी, जैसा चिदम्बरम साहब ने कहा, ये सरकार केवल कुछ पूंजीपतियों की चाकरी कर देश के मध्यम वर्ग, नौकरी पेशा, गरीब, किसान, मजदूर, उनकी घोर अनदेखी और उनसे क्रूरता कर रही है, क्योंकि उन्हें लगता है कि समाज में नफरत और बंटवारा ही उनकी चुनावी कामयाबी का एकमात्र सूत्र है। जनता की सेवा नहीं, जनता को राहत नहीं, किसान, गरीब, मजदूर, युवा, बच्चे, महिलाएं, अनुसूचित जाति, जनजाति के लोगों की मदद नहीं, केवल और केवल धार्मिक और जातीय ध्रुवीकरण ही उनका एकमात्र रास्ता है। हमें यह विश्वास है कि इस देश के हर जाति, हर धर्म, हर क्षेत्र के लोग आगे बढ़कर मणिपुर से, गोवा से, पंजाब, उत्तर प्रदेश, उत्तराखंड, वो मौजूदा सरकारों से सवाल पूछेंगे कि उनकी आय, उनकी जिंदगियां, उनके रोजगार, उनका कल्याण इस सरकार ने क्रूरता से क्यों छीन लिया और केवल बंटवारा और नफरत ही क्यों सत्ता में बैठे हुक्मरानों का एकमात्र रास्ता बन गया?
निर्मला सीतारमण ने राहुल गांधी के ट्वीट पर रिएक्ट करते हुए कहा कि ओनली पिटी पीपल कम्स विद क्विक रिस्पांस, और राहुल गांधी बिना पढ़े बिना समझे बजट को रिएक्ट कर देते हैं। क्या उनके शासित राज्यों में छत्तीसगढ़ में नौकरियां हैं? क्या किसान आत्महत्या नहीं कर रहे हैं महाराष्ट्र में?
Basically, sir, the question is that she reacted to the tweet, which you also said that he said it's a zero-sum game, there is nothing for anybody. She was reacting that this emanates from comprehension of the budgetary proposals. And what is your response?
I entirely agree. If it's an incomprehensible budget, what do we comprehend? I think one journalist asked her in the press conference.
This was a reaction, by the way.
One journalist asked her in the press conference, the explanation you are given, madam, is totally ununderstandable.
और आदरणीय साथी, मैं चिदम्बरम साहब की अनुमति से उनका जवाब पढ़कर बताऊंगा और उस पर अपनी टिप्पणी जरूर दूंगा। निर्मला सीतारमण जी और भाजपा ने उत्तर प्रदेश के लोगों के सम्मान पर ठेस पहुंचाई, उत्तर प्रदेश के लोगों का मजाक उड़ाया, उत्तर प्रदेश के लोगों का अपमान किया, ये कहकर ऑन राहुल गांधी जीरो सम बजट कमेंट एफएम निर्मला सीतारमण सेज इट्स ए टिपिकल यूपी टाइप कमेंट। माफ कीजिए, आप भी उत्तर प्रदेश से और बिहार की ये जो हमारी भूमि है उससे आते हैं, तो क्या निर्मला सीतारमण जी और भाजपा मानती हैं कि उत्तर प्रदेश और बिहार के लोग जो हैं वो सोच नहीं सकते, समझ नहीं सकते, उनके अंदर बुद्धि नहीं? ये घोर अपमान है इस देश के सबसे बड़े प्रांत के लोगों का। ये केवल एक नेता पर टिप्पणी नहीं, उत्तर प्रदेश के 25 करोड़ लोगों को अपमानित किया है निर्मला सीतारमण जी ने। मोदी जी और निर्मला जी को फौरन माफी मांगनी चाहिए उत्तर प्रदेश, उत्तराखंड, बिहार, केंद्रीय हिंदुस्तान के इन प्रांतों के लोगों से।
May I give a typical Tamil comment? Zero cash assistance, zero for those who lost their jobs, zero for those who are looking for jobs, zero for MSMEs, zero for those who are suffering from malnutrition and hunger, zero for those who suffer from inflation. So 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 can only be a zero sum.
Thank you, sir. We can conclude.
Thank you. What is this?